What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and to another WNBA video. We have a 5-game slate to dive into for Friday, June 27th. So we're going to break down and analyze each of those games. I'm going to talk about which way that I'm leaning as far as the points and the spread, and we'll also go over any player props in those games that I like. And when it's all said and done, make sure you check down there into the pinned comment. You'll find a link down there that's going to send you over to the Guy Boston Sports website. It's where all of my final plays for these games are going to live for free. But before we dive into the action for today, let's go ahead and jump over there to the website. That way we can take a look back to Wednesday's plays, what we took and how that ended up going down. We did end up having a pretty good day on Wednesday. We go 3-1 overall. We took Veronica Burton under 11.5 points, and we do cash on that one. JC Sheldon over 9.5 points. We took that at plus money. That is our 1x on the day. Took Natasha Cloud under 11.5 points of rebounds. And we also took the Liberty on the money line parlayed with a alternate total of over 149.5. Both of those cash for a 3-1 night. We will definitely take it after the struggles from last week, man. 3-1. Definitely going to take that. Let's roll that momentum right here into this video here. Keep stacking up on some wins and start stacking up on some units. Guys, if you could smash that like button down there for me and hit subscribe if you have not already. Let's jump right into the action, guys. We got our first game on the night, going to be the Indiana Fever taking on the Dallas Wings. 7:30 p.m. tip-off time for this one. We have the Fever coming in as 4.5-point favorites. Total sitting at 170.5 for this one. Indiana's going to be on a back-to-back here with travel, man. The schedule makers did them no favors this past week. It's going to be game number 4 in 6 days for the Fever. They're traveling from the West Coast to the East Coast, now down south in the process, man. They were in Seattle on Tuesday, back in Indy last night, and now down in Dallas for this one. It's a lot for a team already dealing with some internal issues, man. Dewana Bonner is not going to be returning to the Fever. She is unhappy with the role that she has been given. And then they are also down Dantes, who is, away on much better terms, right? She's just away with the Brazilian national team. She's going to be back in early July. And then we're going to have to see about Caitlin Clark in this one, man. She sat out last night against the Sparks with a groin injury. Man, I knew she looked stiff. I called that in the last video. I said something's off with her. She does not look the same. She does not look like she is 100, and this is a separate injury from that quad she was dealing with, guys. So we're going to have to keep an eye on this one, not only for this game, but just kind of moving forward in general. The Wings are going to come into this one having won 3 of their last 4, and they have covered in 4 of their last 5, and they've done this despite a mile-long injury report on their side. Both Biggs, McCowan, and Geiselsader are out for EuroLeague play still, while Ty Harris is out for the year after knee surgery. Maddie Segrist is out now as well for the foreseeable future. She's expected to return later in the year, but she has also suffered a knee injury of her own. And then DeJounte Carrington is battling through a rib injury. She's going to be a game time decision for this one. Man, it's interesting, though. The Wings have executed better offensively on the year than defensively, but over their last 5 games, we see Dallas sitting at 9th for offensive rating, 4th for defensive rating. Now, we could chalk this up to a bad shooting night, but in their last game out, these Wings held the number 1 rated Atlanta offense to just 55 points on 23% shooting from the field, 21% shooting from deep. And even with their struggles this year, Dallas has been a really good rebounding team. That's an area that the Fever don't necessarily excel in. The Wings sit at 2nd overall for total rebounds per game. They are 1st for offensive rebounds. This leads to them also sitting at 1st for second chance points. Fever are giving up the 5th most offensive rebounds per game and second chance points, and then in their last 5, they've allowed the 3rd most second chance points. While I like Indiana to get the dub here and keep building momentum heading into this Commissioner Cup game, I'm not sure that I'm ready to lay points with them here on a back-to-back with travel. Against a Wings team that's starting to find a groove and starting to gel over their last few games, man. They also have the rest advantage. When I looked at this, the line opened up at 6.5. The Fever laying 6.5. I definitely wasn't laying 6.5 with them. With it coming down to 4.5, it's I don't know. It's more tempting, but it feels crazy to say, but I still feel like I would take the Wings with the points here. That's the direction that I would be leaning. And then for that total, it's a high number, and it makes sense though when you consider these teams involved, right? Both of them want to push the pace. Indiana, they're at their best with that style of play. And in their last 5, they're sitting at 4th for pace, but the Wings are playing to the 3rd slowest tempo. Head to head, we've seen 5 straight hit to the over, as well as 2 of both Indiana and Dallas's last 3 games. I think we see the Fever push the pace in this one. I don't think we'll see the Wings shy away from that necessarily, so I'd be leaning over looking at this game. And then next up, we have the Minnesota Lynx taking on the Atlanta Dream. Dream are 1.5-point favorites here. Total has come down to 156.5. Did open up at 158.5. 7:30 p.m. tip-off time for this one. Dream, man, they're going to be beginning a pretty tough four-game homestand here. The Lynx here first, followed by the Liberty, the Storm, and then the surprising expansion Valkyries. Atlanta's coming into this one. They sit at 10-5 straight up, 9-6 against the spread after their disappointing 13-point loss in Dallas. But despite failing to cover in their last three now, this Atlanta team has still won five of their last seven outright. They're playing some of the best basketball across the league, man. Let's not get it twisted. Sounds funny to say after dropping a game by double digits to one of the league's bottom three teams, sure, but man, we can't get carried away here. This happens across the board with any professional league that you look at, right? Sometimes the much better team just has an off night, right? And these are all pros. End of the day, even the worst teams in the league have talent, and they can take advantage of a really good team like the Dream having an off night. And man, off they were, right? They were so off. How often are we going to see Ryan Howard, Alicia Gray, Jordan Canada, all of them combined for just 9 of 37 shooting from the field, right? Or the bench go just 2 of 14, 0 of 9 from deep. Now, I don't think that we see a repeat performance of that. I definitely don't think that we see Atlanta play that poorly again, right? This is the second rated offense on the entire year so far, guys. It's the sixth rated defense, and they sit at third overall for net rating. Another key thing to factor into this one, Fee is listed as a game time decision. But man, I'm going to be surprised personally if we see her out there for this one because just why risk it, man? If you're Minnesota, why risk it, man? A non contact back injury suffered by a player who has experienced these same issues in the past. This isn't something to play with, man. And honestly, for Fee's sake in the league, the Lynx, I just really hope that, and I do believe that they won't mess around with this one, but I really hope that they sit Fee for as long as she needs, man, just to get back on track, and not risk anything further for this season or her career. You know what I mean? Let's let her get her back right. With that in mind, though, how does this Minnesota team match up with Atlanta without her? They sit at 12-2 straight up, 7-7 to the number. They're now 2-1 without Fee on the year, but they come in off of a loss to the Mystics in Washington their last time out. Lana Smith had a big night in that one, 26 points on 9 of 17 shooting, but if you take her out of the equation, the rest of the Lynx went just 13 of 41 from the field, 1 of 12 from deep for only 38 points. It's obviously not going to get it done, right? Uh, but much like the Dream, man, I don't think that we see the likes of Kayla McBride, Bridget Carlton, and Courtney Williams all combined for just 16 points on 5 of 24 shooting again. You know what I mean? I think that we see them bounce back. But both these teams love the outside shot, but Atlanta really relies heavily on that three ball falling. They sit at first in the league for 3-point attempts. They have the highest percentage of points scored from 3-point range this season, and they are making the second most 3-point field goals per game. The Lynx hit the fifth most shots from deep and at the second highest shooting percentage across the W. Both of these teams sit in the top five for 3-point defense. However, Minnesota at fourth, Atlanta tops in the league at first. The Dream sit at second for 3-point shooting percentage allowed. Minnesota is sitting at third. But over their last five, we've definitely seen the Dream have more success from beyond the arc than the Lynx. Minnesota has made the sixth most threes at the sixth highest shooting percentage. The Dream are converting the most 3-point field goals per game in that span and at the second highest shooting percentage. They've also been extremely efficient with the ball in their last five, just 10 turnovers a game. That's also tops in the league. Lynx it at six here as well, giving up a little over 14 a game. Dream are also one of the top rebounding teams in the W. They sit at third overall and fourth for offensive rebounds and second chance points. Minnesota is down at seventh for rebounds per game, 10th for offensive rebounds, and seventh for second chance points allowed as they give up the third most offensive rebounds a game. I think this is going to take a hit even further as well if Fee isn't able to suit up for this one. Both of these teams are, they're in a prime bounce back spot, right? But with the Dream at home and the uncertainty of Fee status, I'm on the Dream here, man. I took the money line early with this one. For the total, three of the Dream's last four have hit to the over. Three of the Lynx last four have hit to the under. Now, these are the two slowest paced teams this season in the W so far, and both of these defenses have played well this season. Minnesota is first overall for defensive rating. The Dream sit at six, but at home, they jump up to third. On the road, the Lynx still come in at first. So I'd have to lean under here, man, with that in mind, but I'll probably just stick to a lean on this one because both of these offenses are capable of getting hot from deep, and they could crush this low of a number, right? One's 56.5. So yeah, this one probably stays just a lean, but if I had to choose, I would go with an under. Then next up, going to be looking at the Chicago Sky taking on the Golden State Valkyries. We see the Valkyries come in as 8.5-point favorites in this one, total sitting at 156.5. This one's going to tip off at 10 p.m. Man, oh man, how quickly Golden State is establishing themselves as a team that you just can't look over, right? For an expansion team that should be sitting at the bottom of the standings looking up, these Valkyries are sitting at 6 in the W, 500 at 7 and 7 straight up. They are 10 and 4 to the number. They have covered in 7 of their 8 games at home this season as well, and they have won 5 of their last 7 outright. They are coming into this one off of a tough 3-point loss to a pretty good Liberty team their last time out. Golden State's, man, like I said, coming around and coming around pretty quickly. Chicago has a 1-day rest advantage here, but this begins a 4-game road trip for the Sky. They've gone just 2 and 6 straight up away from home this year. They sit at 6 and 8 to the number overall, and just 4 and 10 straight up. Camila Cardoso is now away for the Sky as well to play in the AmeriCup for the Brazilian national team. Golden State has had 4 players away for EuroLeague action themselves, but Temi Fogbenley is back for the Valkyries after her time away. The Sky are fresh off of a come-from-behind win over the Sparks, but have only won 2 of their last 8. Man, they've just been a mess all season, right? Second to last for offensive, defensive, and net rating. Golden State sits at 10th for offensive rating, but up at 4th for defensive rating, 7th overall for net rating. If we look at each of these in their last 5, man, it tells a slightly different story, however, right? The Valkyries jump up to 7th for offensive rating, the Sky 6th. But defensively, while we see the Sky move up just 1 spot to 11th, the Valkyries are sitting at 2nd in the W, and they are 5th for net rating, while the Sky are sitting at just 9th. Golden State, man, like I said, they're really starting to gel as a unit, man. Obviously, offensively, they struggled to open up the year. They were trying to find their identity, and how who's the go-to scorer here, right? I think that they've established that. Not only do they have one go-to scorer, but they kind of got two when you look at Tiffany Hayes and Kayla Thornton. And they have a nice supporting cast around them as well. I like bringing back Letitia Amir. She plays with so much hustle, so much energy. I wonder how they're going to keep her on the roster once those 4 players all return back from EuroLeague action. Does somebody get cut, or does she end up getting cut? Golden State on the year sitting at just 10th for points per game, but if we look at them in their last 7 during this 5-2 run that they are on, we see them jump up to 4th in that category as well. We also know that the Sky, man, they're a good rebounding team, 6th overall in the W for total rebounds per game, but 2nd for offensive rebounds. But if we look at that closer as well in their last 5, Chicago is pulling in the 4th fewest boards a game and the 3rd fewest off of the offensive glass. Golden State sitting at 1st in the W for rebounds per game on the year, 3rd for offensive rebounds per game, and are allowing the 2nd fewest offensive rebounds to the opposition. Man, I like the Valkyries at home here. Laying 8.5 does make me a little leery, but we did just see them take care of business and recently cover a 9.5 point line to the lowly Sun. I don't have Chicago much higher than Connecticut in terms of tiers. You know what I mean? Looking at those tiers in the WNBA, Chicago down there at the bottom there with Connecticut, right? I do have Golden State up above there. They're not in that bottom tier. You know what I mean? They are a competitive team. I think that they get this one, man. I'm going to lean Golden State laying the points. For the total, this number is low, but that Valkyries defense and their success at home and the Sky's trouble on the road plays into that, I feel. Chicago has hit to 3 straight overs, while the Valkyries have seen the under hit in 3 of their last 4. I think Chicago really struggles in this one, man, and we see Golden State pull away for a sizable lead, maybe let off the gas some late. So I'd lean under in this one, but this is another one that, it may just stay a lean with how low that number is, right? I worry Golden State might be able to do just enough offensively and may push this up and over that mark, but I'm not willing to put my money on Chicago and that offense against this Golden State defense right now. So I don't think that they do their part for an over, man. So I'm going to lean under, but just leaning and probably don't go far with the total here in this one. And a prop I'd be looking at in this one would be Tiffany Hayes of the Valkyries, looking at her points over 13.5. You can get that at minus 120 over there at FanDuel right now. Now, the big thing with this one is that Chicago defense, man, sitting at dead last for points allowed. That guard position, they're sitting at second to last, right? And we can see Tiffany Hayes, since coming back from injury here, right here is where she came back. No, excuse me, right here is where she came back from injury. And we can see kind of ramping up, right? Look at her minutes. We can see those ramping up as the season has gone on. She is in the starting lineup. We see her getting the action that is needed right now for us to feel comfortable with her getting up to 14 points. And we've seen her hitting 3 straight times as well. Now, just getting up over that mark, so that is just slightly concerning, right? But like I said, she has become and established herself as one of those go-to scorers for this team. And the big thing for me, like I said, is that Chicago defense. It's a just as much as a play on Tiffany Hayes as it is a fade on that Chicago defense. You look down here at all the guards that have played against this team on the season, man, and you just see a whole lot of green, and this is them getting up over their points prop for that specific game. So guards are having a ton of success against the Chicago defense. Players in general just are, man. The Chicago defense Can't cover a wall with paint, man. For our next game, I'm going to be looking at the New York Liberty taking on the Phoenix Mercury. Liberty coming in 2.5 point favorites with a total sitting at 166.5. 10 p.m. tip-off time for this one. Mercury going to be back home here for the first of two in a row after four in a row on the road. They have a sizable 4-day rest advantage in this one over New York and a 5-game winning streak that they're bringing into this one as well. Sit at 11-4 straight up, 9-6 against the spread. Liberty come in at 11-3 straight up, but just 6-8 to the number. Winners of just 2 of their last 5. We got to be clear, New York isn't at full strength, man. They are down 2 starters. Leonie Fiebich is away with the German national team still. Jonquel Jones is battling through an ankle injury that she re-aggravated when these two teams actually met for the first time this season last Thursday. The Mercury did end up taking that game in New York, winning by 8. So I get to an extent why the Mercury are coming into this one as home dogs. This is a revenge piece for the Liberty. We have to keep that in mind. Phoenix has just Alexis Held and Megan McConnell on the injury report. Both of them are listed as game time decisions, but I think with the time that they've had off, although it could lead to some rust early, I think we see fresher legs on the Phoenix side for this one. And I like the Mercury again, man. I'm leaning Phoenix with the points. They're simply playing the better ball right now, man. Look at each of these teams in their last 5 games. Mercury sit at 5th for defensive rating and 1st overall for both offensive and net rating, while the Liberty in their last 5 are just 8th offensively, 10th for defensive rating, 10th for net rating. The Liberty are sitting down at 8th for overall shooting percentage from the field, 10th from deep. Phoenix is sitting at 5th in both regards and leading the league in points per game during this 5-game span as well. So, like I said, man, give me the Mercury in this one. Looking at the total, we have the 2 fastest paced teams in the W here. So an over feels like the play, right? Without looking too deep into things, but we're going to dive into it a little bit more. The Mercury have hit to 3 straight overs, including 6 of their last 7, while the Liberty have hit to the over in 5 of their last 7. Now, against this specific number, we've seen the Liberty go up and over this mark at a 57% rate on the road, while the Mercury have hit up and over this number at just a 38% clip. New York has only gone over this 166.5 point line twice in the last 5 on the road. The Mercury only once in their last 4 home games. These are the second and third rated defenses on the year, and I know we've seen a ton of struggles here lately from New York, but I'd be leaning under in this battle of top tier teams, man. And I think the intensity is high, like I said, with Phoenix beating these Liberty the last time out. And it's 2 of the top teams in the league, man. I think that they really go at each other here, and we see a defensive battle. Then a player prop I'd be looking at in this one, be going right back to Natasha Cloud and her points and rebounds under 11.5. We can get that at -112 right now on FanDuel. We can see Phoenix is sitting at 6 for points allowed, 4th for rebounds allowed to that guard position. Natasha Cloud on the season has hit this at a 71% rate, right? She came into the year red hot, and she has since come back down to earth, right? Hitting this at a 71% rate. Now, if we look at this, let's look at her in her last 5, 100% rate that she has hit to the under. Let's look at this insight from Outlier. Yeah, she has failed to exceed this mark in 9 straight games, actually, averaging 7.89 rebounds, or points and rebounds, excuse me. So, well under this number, 100% hit rate. Definitely like our chances here. Now, one thing that we do need to keep in mind that she did play with the Mercury last season, so could be is this a slightly a revenge spot for Natasha Cloud? Is this a game that she's going to look to go off and, have one of those explosions like she had at the beginning of the season? I don't necessarily think so. She has already played this team once on the year. Now, granted, that was in New York. This is her first time back to Phoenix, but I don't think she left, with any bad blood or anything like that, and only spent the one season over there in Phoenix anyway. So I don't think that that's really a factor in this one, but definitely something to consider at least still. Then last up on the night, looking at the Sun taking on the Storm. Storm are 18.5 point favorites, total sitting at 156.5. 10 p.m. tip-off time for this one. Seattle going to be home here for the final game of a 3-game homestand. They're coming in off of a loss to the Fever their last time out. That put them at 9-6, both straight up and to the number. Sun, meanwhile, they come into this one on a 7-game losing streak, and this is going to be the 3rd game of a 4-game road trip for them. They are a league worst 2-13 straight up, 6-9 against the spread. Connecticut is going to be down Marina Mabry for the next 2 to 4 weeks, and the Storm have Lexi Brown listed as a game time decision with illness. Man, the Sun are an absolute mess, right? It took them 8 whole minutes into the first quarter of their last outing versus the Aces to just score a single point. They fell behind 19-0 to start that one out. They've lost their previous 2 by 26 and 24 points. And they have lost this season by an average of just under 20 points per game. 19.7 points per game is the average margin of a loss for the Sun this season. It's absolutely absurd, man. Absurd how bad they are. Despite losing their last time out, the Storm have won 6 of their last 8. They are sitting at 6 in their last 5 for defensive rating, third for both offensive and overall net rating. They are third for effective field goal percentage and fifth for true shooting percentage in their last 5 as well, and have led the league in both 3-point and overall shooting percentage from the field this season. Now, Connecticut is allowing the second highest shooting percentage from both the field and from deep. 18.5 is a lot to lay, man, but with Mabry out, I don't know where the Sun generate enough offense to keep up with the Seattle team. So I'd lean the Storm's way here, but I probably don't get to the window with this one, just with that, spread being so high. But you can't look the Suns' way here. I can anyways. In regards to the total, man, Seattle has been scoring so much themselves that under at 158.5 does sound pretty risky to me, no matter how poor Connecticut has played this year. Storm are averaging 90 points per game in their last 4 games, but they are giving up just around 80 as well. Sun allow the second most points per game on the season, and they have hit to 2 straight unders and have landed under this number in 63% of their games on the road. The Storm, though, have hit over this number at a 67% rate, 75% at home. Like I said, I'd be hesitant to pull the trigger with the Sun being involved in this one, but I'd lean over. Seattle is shooting the lights out this season. They've played to the third fastest pace over their last 5 games as well. So maybe this is a spot that we just look at the Storm, right? We just take a team total over for Seattle, and we just don't worry about what Connecticut does in this one. And then a player prop in this one to keep an eye on would be Gabby Williams for points and assists over 17.5. Now, we have cash on this a few times as well. That line had moved up to 18.5 for her game with the Indiana Fever. You can see that she came up underneath of that mark, right, landing at 14, but she has hit at a 70% rate to this line. And the Fever, man, they sit at first for both points allowed and assists allowed to that forward position. We can see Connecticut sitting at 12th and 9th overall. For that forward position, they sit at just 9th. Shooting 47% from the field, 36% from deep. I like Gabby Williams in this one, guys. The only thing that has me a little concerned is I did take this one earlier at minus 102, and now all of a sudden this number is sitting at plus money, which just feels a little bit fishy when all this data is screaming that she should cash this one, right? And she has so far this season at a considerable rate. Like I said, 70% in her last 10, 60% on the year, 9 out of 15 times. And then we can see this insight from Outlier. She has exceeded this mark in 7 of her last 9 games, averaging 20 points and assists in that time. So getting well up and over that 17.5 points plus assists. So we'll have to see about this one. Like I said, I caught it at minus 102. If you're liking it like I was, man, you can get it at plus money right now. That is going to wrap it up, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video today. I hope you found the content helpful and useful. And if you did, please do not forget to smash that like button down there. Hit subscribe if you have not already. And that's going to do it, man. Hope you guys all cash out and have a great night. I'll see you back here tomorrow for the next one.